Okay, so hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Arpish Srivastav, and I'm from India. And today I'm going to present you the Power Pages, how to integrate the Power Pages with finance and operation. All right. So we have been uh, learning about the finance and operations since morning. So how your day is going today with finance and operation? So you guys are all from the finance and operation background, or anyone who has heard about the Power Pages before, or just to know about this product? Okay, okay. Have you worked practically on that product before? No, so it's new for everyone, right? Okay. So first of all, I just wanted to go through the overview of the Power Pages so that you guys will know about the basics of the Power Pages, how security works, what are the components of it. Then I'll let you know like how to integrate the Power Pages with the finance and operations. All right. Okay, so before getting into the session, just wanted to give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Arpish Srivastav. As I told, I am from India. I am a Microsoft MVP. I am 2 times awarded Microsoft MVP, and 3 times I've been awarded as Microsoft Certified Trainer. I am working as a Power Platform architect in Capgemini, Sweden. So I'm basically from India, but last year I just moved to Malmo in Sweden. So I work in with as an architect in the Power Platform, architect as in the Sweden Capgemini. I am working as I'm also as a group leader in the India Dynamics 365 group, and I've been awarded as a Power Community Ambassador as well. I've been writing blogs since 2014, I guess, and I've been mentoring also till the time. I've been speaking and associate with the Power community since 2014, and I'm awarded as a Microsoft Certified Trainer. And the new title that is going to be is the author, because I'm writing the book on the Microsoft Power Apps. So in next 6 months, my first book is going to be released. So I'll be the author as well. Okay, so if you just after this session, if you just wanted to follow me on my social media channel, you can find me with Arpit Power Guide. So Power Pages is the new product. I would say that Microsoft has recently released in the market. But if anyone would like to take the participate in the Microsoft Power Pages 30 days learning challenge. So in the new year, 1st January 2023, I started the Power Pages 30 days learning challenge. So I posted 30 videos on my YouTube channel. So if you are a beginner in the Power Pages, if you want to learn everything about the Power Pages from basic to advanced, so I cover all the topics that you can see here. Introduction of the Power Pages, its components, how the licensing works, with all the practical examples I've explained on my YouTube channel. And this channel, actually, this challenge has been joined by all the Power Pages heroes from the Microsoft and from the community. So you know, like all these known faces on the community: Nick Dolman, Nicholas, Dilip, who is from the Microsoft product team, Microsoft Power Pages product team, Victor, Oliver, Cyril, Ulrich, Alexander, Francisco. So these guys joined my Power Pages 30 days learning challenge and really appreciate that. So if you want to learn it, I would recommend just check that out. You can find it on the Arpit Power Guide channel. Okay, so if I talk about the today's agenda, first of all, I just wanted to give a quick overview. What is Microsoft Power Pages? What are the components of it? How the security works? And what are the different options that you can integrate the Power Pages with the finance and operations? Okay. And then if you have any questions related to that, then definitely you can ask me. All right. So if I talk about the Microsoft Power Pages, so it's a new member in the Microsoft Power Platform family. So before, I would say like 6 months back, we used to have only 4 family members in the Microsoft Power Platform. The first one is your Power Apps. So let's imagine a real-time scenario. If you have to design any application in this world, just forget about the Microsoft Power Platform. If you have to design any application, regardless of any platform, regardless of any technologies, first of all, you need the UI of it, right? You need the mobile UI or the web UI for your internal employees. So the Power Apps is the product in the Power Platform family that is basically used to design the applications. Okay, so it may be your mobile-based application or your web-based application. So Power S is basically the component about that. The second component is the Power Automate. So if you are designing any application, you need to write the business logic, right? Because it might be your integration, because you have to bring the data from any external sources, or any business logic you have to write to design your application. That can be done using the Power Automate. The third is the Power BI. So if you have lot of amount of data in your database, obviously uh, you may not want to go through all the data. If you have to check your sales performance, let's say from the sales manager perspective, you cannot scan through the millions of data. So obviously you need the some sort of analytics or the dashboard, the reporting kind of thing. So for that purpose, the tool is called Power BI. And the fourth feature that you may want in your application is your chatbot capabilities. Okay, so nowadays we have the chat GPT. So that is also integrated with the Power Platform now. So all these kind of AI capabilities is also there, and the chatbot is all about that. So if you want to build the chatbot capabilities, because most of the support application nowadays you see inbuilt with the chatbot integration, the virtual agent integration, right? So chatbot provide these capabilities. And the last one that Microsoft, I think in the May 2022 introduced the Power Pages. So it's not that it is the new component that Microsoft introduced. Earlier, it used to known as a Power Apps portals. Okay, but now the Microsoft has rebranded as a Power Pages. So it's a low code, no code website tool. So if you just wanted to design a website for your customer, okay, no matter whether you are using CRM or the ERP application, you may require to design the portal or the website for your customer, right? So the Power Pages is all about that. So if you have to design any low code, no code website, the Power Pages is the tool for that. It has a lot of capabilities, but I just wanted to give a quick overview of it, that it quickly provide the low code, no code secure mechanism to design the website. So it is for everyone actually. So it's not like you just heard about we have to design the website. So you need the technical skills. You need to be the expert in the programming or the code. So everyone, whether they are from the technical background or not non-technical background, they can simply design the website. But having said that, if you have to design the full-fledged website, obviously you need to have the coding skill as well. But if you are the sales guy, you just wanted to demonstrate the capabilities of the Power Pages to your customer, that how the Power Pages works, so that your customer can take the decision whether they want to adopt this project or not. For this purpose, it provides the low-code, no-code capabilities. It stores the data in Dataverse. So that is one of the most important thing, because you may have this question like, can I design the Power Pages site on top of ERP or the finance and operation? So that is not possible, because the primary data source of the Power Pages must be the Dataverse. But it's not like that you cannot integrate it with the other data sources. So as I shown in the last figure, it supports 675 plus connectors. So you can bring the data from any of the application that Microsoft Power Platform supports and just push it to the Dataverse. And on top of it, you can design your website. But your primary data source must be the Dataverse. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to demonstrate that capability. Yeah. Okay, so can integrate with the Power Platform component. So that is also one of the most important thing. Like some other Power Platform components that we discussed, like Power BI, chatbot, and the Power Apps. So these all the components can also be integrated with the Power Pages. Support the Bootstrap framework. So all the kind of styling CSS you are doing in the Power Pages can be done using the Bootstrap CSS framework. You can write the JavaScript, you can write the HTML, liquid template code to extend the site capability. So liquid template code is basically the new language that Power Pages supports. So if you have to extend the capabilities, it is for the pro developers. If you have to extend the capabilities of it, you can write the JavaScript, you can write the liquid template codes. that provide you the flexibility that you can extend the capabilities of the Power Pages. And it can automate the deployment using CI/CD pipeline as well. So last year I made a tool as well. It's a Azure based tool, Azure DevOps based tool that actually can automate your deployment as well. So it supports the deployment as well. So whatever configuration you are doing in your environment, it can be automate and can easily be moved to the another environment like production or the testing environment. Okay, so as I said, like Power Pages is not something that is only for the technical person, it is for everyone. So basically it is for the Fusion team. So Fusion team is basically the collection of three main users, the low code website makers, pro developers, and the site administrators. Okay, so it has the capabilities for low code maker experience as well. So it provides the maker studio that we call it as a designer studio. At if you are a if you have the knowledge of the PowerPoint, Excel, or Word of the other Microsoft application, you can simply design the website as well. So it's just a drag and drop of the controls, and you can just simply create a new website. So I'll just quickly demonstrate that capabilities as well. So if you not have any technical background, you can simply use the designer tool and you can simply design your website. It has the template hubs, learning hubs. So if you just wanted to learn more about the Power Pages, Microsoft has inbuilt the learning hub as well. So within the Designer Studio itself, you will get to see all the features of the Microsoft Power Pages within the template itself. Data modeling and the visualization. So obviously the Power Page is designed on the top of Microsoft Dataverse. So obviously you need to design the modeling of the data first. Based on that, you can display the data on the Power Pages. So that modeling and the visualization, you can do it in the Designer Studio itself. Pro developer experience. So if you are the developer, you want to extend the capabilities of it. It provides the VS Code integration. So if you have to write the JavaScript, liquid template code, so it inbuilts has the VS Code integration, and you can automate it or integrate with the GitHub to automate your Power Pages deployment as well. IT admin experience. So obviously, if you are designing a site, some of the features that needs to be handled by the administrator team of your organizations, like how the authentication should be. So for example, like you have to block some of the IP address, you have to blacklist the IP addresses, or some of the admin related activities, like you have to restart your website, you have to put your website on the maintenance mode, while during the deployments. So these kind of things the IT administration teams can be handled. So these kind of users can easily handle the Power Pages. If you're interested to know about the history of the Power Pages, it was first known as a ADX Studio portal before the Microsoft not acquired it. So it used to be the ADX Studio. ADX Studio was the the company who actually owns this portal. And then in September 2015, Microsoft acquired it and labeled it as a CRM portals. And then later, as you know, like Microsoft has rebranded all the product with the keyword power. So they just given the new name called Power Apps Portals. And then in May 2022, they announced that Power Apps Portal is no more. Now it used to be called as a Power Pages. Okay. But the main thing is that while a lot has changed since the product was first released in 2009, but the core has remained the same. Okay, so that means is if you have the question like what are the different what is the difference between all the features of the Power Pages? So there is no as such difference. It was the extension of the previous version. So Power Pages is nothing. It is the Power Apps portal and plus some new features. All right. So don't confuse with that, that Power Apps portal was a new product and Power Pages is a different product. It was not like that. It has some new capabilities along with the Power Apps portal features, like it has the low code, no code capabilities. So it has the Designer Studio that you can use it to design your Power Pages site. 10 plus new business solution website templates. So sometimes you have to design your application and you have two options, whether you can design from the scratch or you can use some existing templates to design the website. OK, so for example, you have to design the event management portal or you have to design some registration portal. So you don't need to create these kind of website from the scratch. You can just simply use those templates. If you ever use the Canvas app or the Power Apps, it also has some of the templates are there, right? So these are the 10 plus new business solution website template, but Microsoft is keep on adding those templates in the Power Pages. Get up to the speed with new tutorial section. So if you are the beginner of in the Power Pages, you can just go through the tutorial section. It has all the videos, all the learning related content related to the Power Pages. VS Code integration for the professional developers, integration with Azure Web Application Firewall. So that is from the security point of view, it has some inbuilt features related to the security. But in the Power Pages, Microsoft has introduced the Azure Firewall settings as well that actually provide the additional layer of security from the malicious attacks. Integration with the CDN and Azure Front Door. So CDN is basically it provides the capability that because Power Pages has a lot of data, lot of images. So it's better that it retrieve the data from your local server in your region. So it actually makes sure that your data is being pulled from your local servers in your region. So CDN is about that. Simplify go live checklist. So sometimes when you are done with your website development, you are not sure like what should be the prerequisites or what should be the post deployment activities you have to do it when you have to deploy it to the production. So Microsoft made it simplify using the go live checklist. So they have provided a complete checklist. So once you are done with your development, you can decide that whether my go live checklist is done or not. And based on that, you can do the deployment. And the last, that is one of the most important one, is the updated license, because Power Apps Portal license was quite confusing for everyone and it was quite costly as well. But now that Microsoft has introduced the pay as you go based licensing as well. So you only need to pay how much site you are using. So there are basically two types of licensing, prepaid and the postpaid. So subscription is basically the prepaid where you have to pay in the advance in the form of packs. So for example, like you are expecting the 100 users, then you can purchase the one pack in advance. If you're expecting 1000 user, then you can purchase the 10 packs, something like that. So you have to purchase the license in the terms of packs. But pay as you go, like sometimes you are creating a website that is going to be used quite often, like in the 2 months or the 3 months, only less number of users are going to access the website. In that case, you can choose the option called pay as you go. OK, so I've explained the licensing in my Power Pages 30 days learning challenges as well. So if you just wanted to more deep dive into the subscription and the pay as you go license, you can just watch those videos as well. All right, so how I can design the Power Pages site. So there are basically two options that how you can design your site. The first option is your Power Page app. So in the right picture, you can see like once you install the portal in your environment, in your Power Platform environment, you get to see two apps. The first one is your portal app. That is basically the Designer Studio. So if you want to design your portal app using the Designer Studio, you can use the Power Page app. The second is the portal management app. So that is basically the model driven app. OK, so the Designer Studio still not have all the capabilities from the developer perspective, because all the advanced feature you cannot do it from the Designer Studio. So for second app is basically for the professional developers. So if you want to write the JavaScript, if you want to extend the portal capabilities like content snippet and all, so that capability is only there in the portal management app. Though Microsoft is planning to sync all the features in the single app in near future, but right now you have two options. I'm going to demonstrate that as well. So right now you have two options to design your Power Pages. The first is your Power Page app, and the second is portal management app. All right, now if I talk about the components of the Power Pages, so once you install the Power Pages in the Power Platform environment, there are three main core components of it. The first is the portal solution. OK, so portal solution actually make sure like because if you install the portal, it inbuilds has some of the features to it, right? So these portal solution actually installed in the Dataverse, and it has all the properties of the portal components. The second is the portal metadata. So once you install the portal, there are some inbuilt capabilities of the portal comes along. So the portal metadata is about that, like site settings, some of the settings of the website, some of the records get also automatically available once you install the portal. So that is the metadata and the portal web app. So once you install the portal, it actually hosts the website because portal is a public website, right? It needs the hosting somewhere. So Microsoft use the Azure to host the portal. So it actually create the web application in the Azure. So all the communication between Dataverse and your portal, it actually happens through the Azure web app. So these are the main three components to it. But if I talk about the detailed components, so I'll just skip that. So if I talk about the detailed components, so these are all the components of the Power Pages. So I just try to cover all the components in the one slide. So website. So once you install the portal, it actually create a website. It actually creates the connection. So it actually stores in the website record. Website binding, it actually the connection string. So if you ever heard about like connection string in the .NET, it actually creates the binding between your server and the client, right? So website binding is about that. Web pages. So if you have to display any information on the portal, you need the page. OK, so web page is like it's kind of placeholder where you can display the content. Now on top of the web pages, you have the localized content. Localized content means if you are using the multilingual portal. So let's say in your portal, you have three languages installed: Chinese, Japanese, and the Swedish. So localized content actually makes sure that the logged in user based on the opted language of the logged in user, it actually render the content. So localized content is about the multilingual capabilities. Basic form is basically, it provides the forms on the portal, because if you are creating the Power Pages site, you expect sometimes to take the input from the user, like the registration forms, enquiry form, feedback forms. So basic form is about that. Multi-step form. Multi-step form is basically when you have to take the user inputs in multiple steps. So if I take the example of, career portal. So if you have to apply for a job, you have to fill your information in the multiple steps, right? You have to provide your profile details, your experience detail, your project details, something like that. So if you have to create such kind of forms, then you have the multi-step form. List is basically to display the data. So whatever data you have submitted from the portal using the form, if you have to see the list of those submitted data, so list can be used for that. Content snippet, if you have to manage the content of your Power Pages site. So that is about that. So all sort of content, some string messages, for example, greeting messages. So you should not hard code those messages, because sometimes you have to enable some multilingual capabilities. And if you have hard coded the messages in your JavaScript code or in the HTML code, you have to conditionally change the languages, right? So content snippet is basically that if you have to display some kind of string messages or some HTML content snippet, then you can use that component. Page and web template is bit from the developer perspective. So if you have to write liquid template code, or if you have to integrate your portal from external application, so that is about that. So web template is also useful for the reusability perspective as well. So sometimes you have to write the code which you might need to use on the multiple places. So let's say I'm calling an API. OK, and that API I needs to call on the multiple pages. So I have either uh, three options. Either I can create the same code on the multiple pages, or I can simply create a web template and can reuse it on the multiple pages. So it's like that. Portal Web API is the component that actually provide the extension to the Power Pages. So if you have to create your own HTML table and you have to perform any CRUD operation on the Dataverse, you have the Portal Web API option available. Web links is basically used to design the toolbar, links, and all. Web file is basically used to store all sort of web related files like images, CSS, JavaScript, or any web related content. Site setting is basically, let's say you have to enable the LinkedIn integration, or you have to enable some Facebook integration so that user can log in with the Facebook ID as well. OK. So for these kind of settings, you have the site setting components. You just need to turn on and turn off the setting enable to integrate those features. And then you have the permissions as well: web roles, table permission, page permission, and the column label permission. So I'll talk about that in the later slide. So let's talk about the security of the Power Pages. So security basically consists of two things, authentication and the authorization. So authentication means who am I? So I need to prove my identity. So it's not about the Power Pages, any application in this world. The first thing is you have to show your identity. And the portal supports a lot of kind of identity providers like Facebook, LinkedIn, Azure Active Directory, Twitter. So these kind of identity provider portals provide. Once you prove your identity is proven, then you have the authorization. So what sort of operation you want to perform on the Dataverse. So authorization is about that. So there are different kinds of permission that you can configure that you can perform, create, update, or delete. So these kind of management you can manage using the authorization. So if I talk about the authentication components, the first is the portal contacts. So all the users who is authenticated on the portal is stored in the contact table. OK, so if you ever heard about the Dataverse or the Dynamics 365, it actually use the user table to store all the sort of user related information, the logged in details and all. But in case of portals, it actually use the contact table to store all the authentication related details. The second is the web roles. Web roles basically it actually kind of security roles which actually decide that what kind of operation you can do it. So let's say you have to create some of the feature for the anonymous user. So user don't need to log in on the website in order to use it. So sometimes you are creating event management portal where user can simply go through all the events that a company is organizing without even logging to the site. Authenticated, some of the operation you need to you want that user should be logged into the website in order to perform the operation. And administrator is something who are maintaining the website. So there are basically three kind of roles we have. And the table permission basically ensure like what kind of operation you can perform on the table, like create, update, deletes and all. And this is the architecture. By using that you can understand easily that when you make any request from the portal, it goes to the portal server, and portal server actually communicate with the identity provider that you are using. So let's say you are logging with the Facebook or Twitter. So portal server will contact with the identity provider, respective identity provider, and that identity provider will give the token back that yeah, this is the the valid user. And by using that token, the portal again calls the Dataverse by calling the SDK call by taking that token. And once that Dataverse call is happened, then the user can display the data on the portal. So this is how the architecture of the portal works. And in more details, it actually provides to more future. The first is the WAF, that is the web application firewall. And the second one is the content delivery network. OK, so these two features it actually provides. So whenever you make any request for the portal, it actually goes through the AWF and the CDN. Then some of the backend service will run it, and it actually makes sure like getting the token, getting the data from the portal, and then you can perform the transaction in the Microsoft Dataverse. And as I told you, you can integrate your Microsoft Dataverse with the other connectors as well. But your primary data source must be the Dataverse. All right. Now, integrate the FNO with Power Pages. So what are the possible options we have that we can integrate with the Power Pages? So there are basically four options through which you can integrate your finance and operation with the Power Pages. The first one is the dual write. The second is the data integrator. The third is the virtual table. And the fourth one is the Power Automate. OK, now let's talk about each of these options in more deep dive way. And, and let's have a look into it in the practical way as well. So first of all, I'll discuss about the integrator option, dual write, data integrator, virtual table, and Power Automate. So this is the basic architecture behind it. So you are not actually integrating these features directly with the Power Pages. You are integrating these options with the Dataverse. OK, because at the end of because each feature basically wants to bring the data, and on top of it, you can design the website. OK, so all the features you can simply integrate with the Dataverse, either dual write, data integrator, virtual tables, and the Power Automate, and then you can design the website on top of it. Now, first I talk about the dual write option. OK, so dual write is basically, as the name indicates, it actually provides the bidirectional communication between your finance and operation in the Microsoft Dataverse. So whatever operation you are performing in the FNO, it can easily be synced with the Dataverse and vice versa. Okay. So the architecture behind is there are, if you are integrating Dataverse data to the finance and operation, there are some plugins are running in background that actually make sure. So you can simply enable, first of all, like which table you want to sync between FNO and the Dataverse. And based on that, if you are performing any transaction in the Dataverse, that plugin triggers and actually sync the data to the FNO. Or if you have to sync the data between FNO and the Dataverse, there are events in the FNO that actually make sure to sync the data between FNO and the Dataverse. Okay. Now, what are the features that dual write provides that you need to keep in mind before decide like which approach you have to go for? So the first thing is that it is a bidirectional communication. Okay, so both the ways possible, FNO to Dataverse and Dataverse to FNO. It's a tightly coupled and transactional base. So what does that mean? That means like, let's say I'm integrating the data from one database to another database and something went wrong. OK, or if any error occurs. So what happened in that case? So it actually roll back the transaction. OK, so that is basically the transactional base. The third is support pause catch up. So that means like during a data migration of a particular record, anything went wrong. OK, so it actually pause it until that the data get recovered. OK, so it actually pause, then catch up that success data and then pull it again from the Dataverse and sync it to the FNO. Out of box features, license free for the unrestricted table. So it's an out of box feature. You don't need to write any sort of code in order to integrate that. And it actually a license free solution for the unrestricted table. So there are two types of table basically, restricted and unrestricted. So unrestricted means there are some of the tables that comes out of box that do not require any sort of license. But there are some of the restricted tables like invoice, order, quotations. These tables you need the proper license in order to use the dual write. It provides the real time and non-real time integration. So since it's using the plugins and the events, so it actually sync the data in the real time. So whenever you create the data in the CRM, it immediately gets synced to the ERP system, because plugin is something that actually provides the synchronous transaction. So it's a real time integration. Good for the scenario where you have to sync low amount of data, because it's a real-time integration. It doesn't integrate the data in the batch format. So you need to make sure like the data that you are migrating between the two applications should be in the low amount. OK. Support data filtering. You can filter the data, that what sort of data you want to filter. All the transaction done in the context of application user. So it doesn't support any sort of auditing as such, because you have to sync the data on the behalf of application user. Don't support synchronization of relatable table data. So let's say you are syncing accounts and you have to sync its related contacts. So it is not possible in the single transaction. You have to enable both the different tables. Doesn't support conditional business logic while syncing the data. So sometimes like you have to write your business logic. If this drop down field values A, then this field should be auto populated. If the drop down field value is B, then this field should be auto populated. So these kind of things is not possible in the dual write. Second option is the Power Platform Data Integrator. So that is the Power Platform feature that Microsoft has provided. So it's not only for the FNO, it actually for the other data connectors as well. So if you have to bring the data from any other data sources, you can bring the data in the Dataverse, and on top of it, you can design your application. And same goes with the Power BI. OK, because sometimes you have to design the dashboard or the reporting by bringing the data from the different channels. So you can use the data integrator as well in order to integrate the FNO with the Dataverse. So it actually has some of the templates available that you can reuse it, or you can create your own templates as well in order to integrate. So for example, prospect to cash, that is the out of box template that Microsoft has provided. So if you use this template out of box, you can use this integration like account and customer table integration between FNO and the Dataverse, contact product and price list with the product table of FNO. So these kind of migration you can do it. And if I talk about the data integration, it actually provides the unidirectional way. Okay, so it's a one directional. So either you can sync the data from Dataverse to FNO and not from FNO to Dataverse, because the data integrated is a feature of Power Platform. So it's a unidirectional. Batch based, not real time. You can schedule your migration, and it's not a non-real time, it's a synchronous process. Schedule the data migration, easy to set up and out of box. You don't need to write a code. It actually provides the low code, no code capabilities. It's a free of cost. It's not a transactional. So it's not like unlike the dual write. If anything goes wrong, it doesn't stop your transaction. It doesn't roll back the transaction. Good to integrate a big volume of data, and it has the Power Query. So if you have to some sort of providing advanced filtering or conditional business logic, then you have the option of Power Query here. And the the third one is the virtual table that we're going to demonstrate quickly. It actually uh, virtual table doesn't copy the data from FNO to Dataverse. It actually virtually show the snapshot of the data, but still you can perform all the transaction from Dataverse to the to the FNO. Okay, so the architecture is like that. So if you have the uh, if you usually have to insert the data, it actually goes in the native entities. You have to directly insert it to the database. But in case of virtual table, it actually calls the plugin, and that plugin calls the API, and that API actually performs the transaction in the FNO. Okay, so there is no copy of data happens in the Dataverse. Okay, so it's all about that. And the last one is the Power Automate. So sometimes you have the business logic that you want to integrate the data based on a particular event. So for example, like if a new contact get created in the Dataverse, then only I want to sync that particular contact to FNO. Okay, so based on that, you have the connector available for FNO that you can use it in the Power Automate. And it's not only in the Power Automate, you can use it in the Power Apps, and you can also use it in the Azure Logic apps as well. So the same connector, and it is bidirectional. When the event is occurred in the FNO, in the first picture, you can see if the event is occurred in the FNO, you can sync the data in the Dataverse. And if the any event occur in the Dataverse, you can sync the changes to the FNO. All right. Okay, so before any question, I just jump it to the demo. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to quickly show. Okay, you can't see my screen. Okay, perfect. All right. So first of all, I'll show you like how to create a Power Pages site. You can create a Power Platform 30 days trial environment, and then you can create the 30 days Power Pages site just to explore the feature of it. So you just need to go to the Power Pages trial. Okay, go here, and then you have the option here how to create the 30 days trial. You just need to provide your email address here. And then once you do it, it actually creates a new environment for you in your environment. So I've already have a environment here. So it automatically creates a website for you. So I already have the Power Pages site that I've set up for you. It's a FinOps site. And I was talking about there are two ways to design your Power Pages site. One is your portal app, and the second is your model driven app. So as soon as I install the portal, I get to see two apps here. This is the portal app, and this is the model driven app. Sorry, this one, portal management. So let's see how this portal app provide the low code, no code capabilities to design the website. So if I click here, go to edit, it actually opens the Designer Studio, and that is the new feature that Microsoft introduced just to provide the low code, no code capabilities. It has all the components that you can simply drag and drop to simply design your website. So it has basically 4 panels in the left side pages. So if you can see here, we have the main navigation, and in the right panel, you can see how the website looks like. You can design it like this way. You have the styling option. So there are some inbuilt templates are there that you can directly apply it in order to change the styling of it. But of course, if you have the need to design the website as per your business need to match your organization branding, you have the option to upload the custom CSS as well. So if I just click here and click on manage CSS, you can see here right now there are 3 CSS. As I told you, like Bootstrap based it framework supports, and it has some default CSS available, theme.css and the portal basic theme. But if you have the requirement to upload some custom CSS based on your business need, you can upload that as well. Okay, so it provides that capabilities. If you go to the data management part, as I told you, it directly supports you to manage how your data should look like. So you don't need to go to the solution or the tables outside here. So earlier we used to go here, go to the solution or go to the tables in order to design the tables, or the views or the forms in order to display on the Power Pages. We can directly go to the data management hub, and here only we can simply check all the tables that we have in the Dataverse, and we can simply use those table for the Power Pages. The advantage of using Power Pages is like that. So if you have to create a form, or if you have to display the data, you don't need to create any sort of code or HTML and all. You can simply reuse the forms that the Dataverse support, or you can simply use the views that Dataverse support. Okay. So for example, if I have to, let's say, integrate the workers, I have a worker table in the FNO, and I have to display that workers list in the Power Pages site. And I also want to create a new worker from the Power Pages site. So I just wanted to use 2 features of the Power Pages. The first is form. The second is the list. OK, so I'll quickly show you that how you can do that. But let me show you some other features of it. It is the setup. So as I talking about the go live checklist here, so it has the complete checklist that you have to make sure before going to the uh, going on the production. So you have to run the site checker. It actually checks whether there is no loopholes in your website, there is no security loopholes. It actually runs the AI in the background. It scan through all your configuration and gives you the result whether your site is working fine and ready to go for the production. Pick and allocate license, whether you have you know you have picked up the right license for your website. It actually convert the site from the site trial to production. So it actually makes sure whether you are still running on the trial or you have converted to the production. Enable the CDN to website the load faster. Enable WAF. So these 2 features are license free. So you don't need to have any additional license in order to use those features. Whether you have enable the custom domain, because when you are deploying on the production, you need to have the valid SSL certificate and the domain as well. And then you set the site to public. OK, because if you go to the site visibility, you have the now option whether you want to available, make your site available for public or for private. So as long as I'm doing the development of my website, I don't want to, put it on the public mode. I want that only I can access my website. So I have the option whether I want to keep my site on the public mode or the private mode. So it actually makes sure like you have, change it to the public, because you on the production, everyone is going to use that. OK, so this progressive web application is a new feature that actually convert your complete portal website to the mobile app. So you can download the Power Apps Progress web application. So access all the features of the portal on the mobile app as well. Table permission is basically the security feature. So once you create the new table permission, you can decide like on which table you want to enable it. So for example, if I open the existing table called contact, and here I can decide like what permission I want to provide, like read, write, create, delete. So these kind of permission I can set, and I can set the role as well. So for example, like contact write permission. So contact write means I can update the contact records. But who can update the contact records? Anonymous and authenticated both. But sometimes what we want is only authenticated user can update the contacts, not the anonymous user. So these kind of you so roles and the permission, we have to use it in the combination, that what sort of permission you have to provide for a particular role. All right, now if you have to integrate the FNO with the Power Pages, because this is all about the designing stuff. Also, for example, like this is my home page, and now it is like simply blank. Now, if I have to edit the code or I have to design the home page, I have the option called Edit Code. Okay, so this is the Pro Developer feature. If I click on the Edit Code, it asks me to open the code in the Visual Studio. So if I click here, it actually takes me to the online Visual Studio code and renders all the code that returns in background. Okay, so I can simply update the code here. For example, if I have to update anything here, so if you can see here, it is simple HTML. It's nothing like that. So you can simply write your own HTML. You can write your own CSS or logic. And once you're done with that, you can just simply press Ctrl S so that it can sync back to your Dataverse. So now you can see here, it has the option called sync. So whatever changes you are doing in your code, you can just hit the sync. It actually sync the data in your Dataverse. And you have the option called preview. Okay, so if you want to see like how your website looks like, you just click on the preview. And this is how the website renders. So like, for example, like this is the toolbar I was talking about. So this is basically managed by the web links. So in the Designer Studio, you have this web links here, home, orders, worker. You can just simply click new page and you can add that page to the main navigation. Means it actually creates a new link for you. So for example, if I create a new link, new page called FinOps, and if I want to create a link along with this page, I can simply click add. So it actually creates a new link here and it associates with the page. And here I can decide that what I want to display on this web page. Okay, like I just want to do simply text, button, images, video, and then we have the forms. Okay, and the multi-step forms list. And as I told you, like these, all the options, all the components we have, and we have the Power Platform components as well. So you can embed the Power BI reports, Power Apps, and other features as well. So it's a kind of blank canvas right now, but it's up to you, like what you want to display here. Okay. So if I just want to see the output of it, I just need to sync here so that the data get updated to the Dataverse. And if I just want to see the output of it, I can simply hit the preview desktop, and now you can see a new links get appears here, FinOps. All right. If I click on sign in, I have the authentication options here. Here is the local authentication. It is not recommended for the production. It is only for the POC or the demo purpose or the testing purpose. But here you have the external account. You can log in with Azure Active Directory. You can use the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, other identity providers as well. Okay, now so this is the basic features of the Power Pages. If you have to add some advanced feature, you can just click on the apps and open the portal management app here. So if I open the portal management app, it actually opens the model driven app here, and it has some advanced features from the developer perspective. Like some of the components I discussed about the low content snippets and all. So all the features that you have in the Designer Studio is also have in the model driven app as well, but it has some additional features as well. But as I told you, in near future, all the features that you have in the portal management tab is going to sync in the Designer Studio as well. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about how you can bring the FNO data in the Power Pages. Okay, so for that, first of all, you need to install one solution here. So if I go to the Power Pages Admin Center, so whether you are using dual write, FNO, or the data integrator, first of all, you have to head over to the Power Platform Admin Center. In the environment section, you get to see all the environments that we have right now. So my environment that I have dedicatedly created for this demonstration is the FinOps. So I'll just open this environment, go to the resources, and we have the option called Dynamic 365 apps. Okay, so if I head over to the Dynamic 365 apps, I have the option called Open App Source. So since this virtual table integration is going to be provided by one additional solution, that we need to install it first. in your Power Platform environment. So you need to first go to the open app source, and it takes you to the app source here. And here you have the solution called virtual table. Yeah, I think the name of. So I've already installed it, so I can copy it from here. So you can find that solution like this. Okay, and just you need to hit the get it now. So once you click get it now, it actually asks you like on which environment you want to install this external solutions. So app source is something where the ISVs, the independent service providers, can also import their own solution that you can also use it to extend the capabilities of the Power Platform. So you just need to install this solution first in order to provide the virtual entity integration. So I've already installed that just to save the time. So once this solution get installed, some of the prerequisites like plugins and everything gets also installed that actually make sure that the data migrate should be happen between the FNO and the Dataverse. All right. So once this is done, you just need to go to the FNO. So I have the FNO site here. Okay. And now you have to make the communication between FNO environment and the Dataverse environment, and both are different product and both have different database, right? So there should be some mechanism who can make the communication between these two sites. So we have the application user, and application user is something that do not require any sort of license in order to make the communication between two application. Okay, so we cannot use any licensed user because then you have to pay the price for that particular user. So since that user is not going to log into the application in order to make the communication, so application user is for that. So in order to create the application user, you need to head over to the Azure. So I've already created the. So you have to create the application user, and that application user is basically necessary to make the communication. Okay. And how you can create the application user? You need to go to the Active Directory first. Okay. And in the Active Directory, you have the option called app registration. So you need to register an app. So that app registration is actually the application user. So you can see I've already registered an app called Dynamic 365 Authentication app. If you don't have, then you can create a new registration here. You need to provide your application here and just need to click on register. Now, once you register your application, you need to make sure that you have provided the permission to connect with the Dataverse. Okay, so if I go to the API permission, I have provided the user impersonation option for dynamic CRM. That means this application user can work on behalf of all the user to make the communication with the Dataverse. All right. And how can I access this application user in any other application? I can simply use its client ID. So this is the client ID I have and the client secret I have to create. So it's a kind of username or password that actually uniquely identify that application user. So application ID, I can get it from here. And for creating the client secret, I need to head over to the secrets here and can create a new client secret here. Okay. Now this application user, I have to, create it in the finance and operations. So if I go to the recent and Active Directory, can you see it? Yeah, here. And in the Active Directory, I have created the same user here, D365 virtual entity. This is the application ID I have created in the application user. And this user I have to create in the FNO. And this actually makes sure that the communication is being done between your FNO and all. Now, so this is about the communication. Now, in order to integrate that to the portal, there are two things. Whether the portal user anonymously want to access the FNO data or whether he wants to access the authenticated user. Okay, so for that purpose, you need to head over to the user part. And for example, like let me take the example of Raz. So there is an already a user in my FinOps, and the FinOps user I have provided this role called Dataverse Virtual Entity Authenticated User. That means this user in the portal, when this user logged into the portal, it actually can access the Dataverse data, sorry, the FNO data. Or if you want to provide the anonymous access, then for that, you just need to go to the system administration, go to the system settings, and there is an option called Power Apps Portal. And here you have to provide the anonymous username. And this user, whatever roles you are providing to this user, it actually provide the anonymous access on the portals. Okay. So if I open this, okay, going from here, and for this user, I have provided the virtual entity anonymous user. Okay, so this all the configuration you have to do it in the FNO. Now let me head over to the portal. In the portal, what I have done is, first of all, I just wanted to sync only two tables. The first is order and second is the worker. Okay, so these two tables, first of all, I need to sync it in the Dataverse, right? So it's a virtual, it's not actually the physical data actually. So if I head over to the advanced setting in the Power Platform. So this settings we have to do it in the in my CRM instance. Go to the administration, then system settings. Sorry. Virtual entity data source. And there is a data source called FNO. And the same application user I have to create it here as well, so you can see here, this is the target URL, the FNO trial instance. This is the OAuth URL. You don't need to change it. The tenant ID, I got it from here in the Active Directory. So if you can just go to the overview. So this is the application tenant ID. I just copied here. Application ID, I just got it from there itself. And then you have to provide the secret. So these three information, I got it from Azure and I just need to save it. And it actually makes sure that it actually brings the data from the FNO to the Dataverse before doing any configuration for the Power Pages, right? So once you do it, you also need to decide like which table you want to enable it for the virtual table. OK, so for that, you need to go to the advanced find in the Dynamic 365. And you have the option called available finance and operation entities. So these all the entities are enabled for virtual tables. So if I hit results, it around 3000 plus entities are available to be used as a virtual table. But which table data you want to use it, I'll quickly show you that as well. OK, so we have 3074 tables that are available to be used as a virtual table. But right now it's set visible as no. That means the data of this table is not coming from the FNO to the Dataverse right now. But I have enabled some of the tables that I want to use as a virtual table. So if I just set the filter here visible to yes. So there are basically two tables that I have actually used as a virtual table. OK, so the worker entity, the budget plan entity, the contact entity, and the purchase order line. So these four table, I'm going to use it. So that's why I just turn this value to yes. And as soon as I do it, it actually brings the data from the FNO to the Dataverse virtually, not in the physical location. So once I do it, I can go to the Power Apps, click on the tables, just to make sure whether the data has come or not. So click on all so that I can show all the tables and simply search worker here. And now you can see this is the table that I've actually made available for virtual table. And if I go down, it has the data from the FNO, like personal numbers, name, gender, and everything. Okay, so this is the FNO data that is available in the Dataverse. Now, if I have the data in the Dataverse, now I go to the Power Pages. And since I have to display the list of the data, so I have to use the list component of it, right? So as you can see here, I've already created a link called view order. OK, and in the view order, I just created a new list. How I created a new list? So for example, like this is my blank page and click here, click on the list. And here I can click on new list. I can choose a table. OK, so this table is basically from the Dataverse. So my table is basically the worker table. So this is the table that is the Finance&Operations table. So I can choose it and what views I can use it. So view is basically to provide the filter of the data, whether I can use the active record or I can provide any sort of filter here. So I can choose those filter here and the data and then click OK. So I've already created here called view order. So if I just run this website. And first of all, I'll show you with the authenticated user. So I'll just use the Azure Active Directory credentials here. So since I've already logged into my Azure AD account, so it's a SSO enabled automatically. So if I click on the workers and click on view workers, I can directly bring my FNO data to the portal side as well. OK, so I am just using the portal Power Pages features, nothing else. I just use all the configuration in the Dataverse and the FNO and it automatically display the data here. But I have all the features like searching capabilities, the pagination capabilities, like how many records I want to display in a single page, all kind of capabilities I can manage it from here. So if I click on the list, edit list, go to the data, whether I want to directly create the data from here, I can enable that option. And in order to create the record, I need a form, right? So that I can insert the data. If I want to view the details, I can enable this option. If I want to edit the record, I can enable this option, delete. I all the have options this app. Settings, how many number of records I want to show it in a particular page, or I want to enable the search in the list. All kind of features I can enable that. OK, and same goes with the other table. So for example, these are all the workers I'm creating. But if you have to create a new worker directly from here, I have created a form. So if I click on the create worker, it actually displays a form here directly. So I can fill this data and directly insert the data to my FNO. So it doesn't store in the Dataverse, then it is sync it to the FNO. No, it is directly sync it to the FNO. Now, how I created this form, if I click on the create order, I just simply choose option called form and same like list. I can create a new form and here I can choose the table and based on the table, I can select the form. So you can imagine like I don't need to create the text box control or the drop down control. I can simply reuse the data model of my Dataverse that we already have and can display the forms or the list or the views that we already have in the Dataverse. OK. All right, so this is all about how you can integrate the data between FNO and the Dataverse. Yeah.
We have default payment provider application.
No, there is no direct any payment gateway as such. If you have to integrate it with the portal, either you can go with the third party app, and if they are providing any sort of APIs and all, you can use that as well. Yeah, but there is no payment gateway as such directly with the Dynamics.
So when we're talking about creating a user,
Yeah.
Usually, when we log into any website, we have, especially in European region, we have to have for the GDPR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or any capabilities around.
GDPR, we already have it here. So due to this GDPR constraints only, Microsoft has deprecated the local authentication feature. Why? Because if you just can see here, this local authentication feature store all the details in the contact table in the Dataverse. Okay, so when I register here, I need to provide the email, username, and password. Okay, and this information actually stores in the Dataverse. So that's why, due to this GDPR constraints, Microsoft has disabled this feature, and they only recommend that this feature should only be used for the testing purpose or for POC purpose. Because in this case, Azure Active Directory, you don't need to store the user identity for Facebook, LinkedIn, and all. Microsoft don't need to store the credentials, right? It can go to that particular identity provider, get the confirmation whether it's a valid user, get the token, and use that token actually to communicate with the Dataverse. So, but if in some of the countries, if you have the requirement like you want to display the accept cookies, that header, and GDPR terms and conditions, so that is basically available in the settings. So I told you about there is a component called site settings, right? So if you head over here to the portal management tab and go to the site settings, there are a couple of site settings you need to create it. So site setting is something that actually enables the features to your website without writing the code. Okay, so for example, like let's say on my website, I have this local authentication available. I just simply want to remove this option. So I don't need to write the JavaScript, or I don't need to write any sort of code to do that. I can simply go to the site setting and can find the option registration. So now you can see here authentication registration enabled. So this is the site setting that Microsoft has provided. Right now its setting is true. That's why you see the open registration option. If I set this value to false, that option will automatically be hidden. Same goes with the GDPR. There are some of the site setting that Microsoft has provided on their MS Docs. You just need to create those site settings here. It automatically display all the GDPR related information, terms and condition. So user needs to accept those terms and condition before proceeding to use the website. So these kind of features you can manage using site settings. So this was about the virtual table, because in this case you have to enable some of the feature. If you have to use the Power Automate, so I think if you ever use the Power Automate, I can also show that as well. So I have already a solution here. And if you can go here, automation, cloud flow, you have the FinOps connector available, and this FinOps connector is basically make sure uh, that actually brings communicate the data based on the events. So if I can click here and search FinOps, so there is a option called when a business event occurs. So this is basically a connector that Microsoft has provided. It actually bring the data based on the events only. Or if you are talking about the dual right, so in that case also you go to the admin center. Okay, here, yeah. In the same way, the way I have installed the virtual entity solution in order to provide the virtual integration solution, in the same way you have to install two new solution for dual write. Go for the apps, and there is one solution called dual write core solution, and there is one more solution called orchestration, I guess. Can you find it? Not sure whether I have installed it here or not. Yeah, here it is. So these two solutions you have to integrate, install it, and same in the same way through the app source. And these solution basically brings the data physically in your Dataverse, and on top of it, you can design your portal website. So this is about the dual write, and you can find a actually there is very good article written that Microsoft has provided. It's an end-to-end So meanwhile, if you have any question, just please let me know. or I can, and yeah.
Um, uh, One of the components that could be used was also Power Apps or Power Apps components. Did I understood correctly?
In the Power
In the
Page.
page, in the page, yeah. On
Yeah,
the Power
exactly.
Page.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
possible,
yeah,
but does it require additional licensing to
yeah.
use those components?
Yeah, because Power Apps is provided by Microsoft for the internal users only.
Okay.
It is not for the external user. For external user, only one component we have, that is portal. Okay. Power Apps is supposed to be used by the internal user, but in some of the cases, if you have to provide the access to the external user, you need to provide the guest access. So if you know, like in the Active Directory, we have two kind of user: member who need the license and the guest users. Okay, so you need to create the guest user, and that guest user also need the Power Apps license.
But one for each user that access the port. So it's only valid for authenticated port.
Yeah, yeah.
So on anonymous, I cannot use
No, no, no,
something
no,
built.
no.
Okay.
So that I also made the video on that as well. So if you can just check this, how you can integrate the Power Pages. Like these are all the videos if you just wanted to watch it. All the 30 videos it has. So Power BI integration. And if you can see anywhere Power Apps integration as well, here it is. Okay. And in this Power Apps integration, I've shown like how you can embed the Power Apps into the portal. And I've demonstrated that as well, like for anonymous user, what is the experience, and for authenticated user, what is the experience. But in brief, only the internal user can access the Power Apps. Yeah, it is not made for the external user unless you have created the guest user. Okay, because sometimes, let's say I'm taking the example of auditing. So auditing teams comes from outside. It's an external organization, but sometimes they need the access of your internal applications, right? So let's say I am the auditing person. Okay. And I just came to your organization. I just want to access that. So you have two options. Either you can temporarily create my username and password, or you can simply create the guest user account. Okay. So you need to create the guest user account and need to provide me proper Power Apps license. By using that, I can access my Power Apps.
Okay.
There are many use cases actually. I can share from my personal experience because Uh, I have worked for some of the retail customers, especially. Okay, there are a lot of large retail customers who. So, for example, like all the website features, like I have to display all the products. User can simply browse through all the products like Amazon. Okay, they can make they can add the orders in their shopping list, and then they can create the quotation request, and they can make the payment. Now, in this kind of integration, you need the CRM and ERP both, because let's say I just purchase your order from the website, and I just want to get the let's say the tracking of my order, or if my order gets delayed, so I need to talk to my customer, sorry, my users, like where is my order right now, or if it's getting cancelled or my payment get failed. So I need the customer services as well, right? So in that case, I can simply create a website. I can enable the chatbot where I can where the user don't need to be sit in the background in order to provide the order tracking. Where is your order right now? It in the shipment or delivered. You can simply create the chatbot. It actually provides you, it will take the order number as input and can provide you all the details. You can provide the FNO integration in order to provide all the order related quotation management or the payment related things. For all the case management related things, for example, I want to escalate something, I want to submit any feedback, these kind of things, you can use the CRM system. So these kind of application we have, and we have very lot of customer like Subway, IKEA. So these are the well-known customer who are using, yeah, the portal. So IKEA, like it's a retail customer. So they are also using Power Apps portal in many countries. Subway is also, it's a food chain. So they are also using the Power Apps portals. So there are a lot of use cases for that as well.
For
Yeah.
shipment, do you connect with shipment providers like FedEx or something, how would you know?
If they provide the API integrations, yeah. So, it has all the capabilities. Like, as I told you, the primary database should be Dataverse, but sometimes you have to bring the data on the fly from the APIs. So for example, you have to do the payment integration, right? So you can simply use the PayPal if they are providing the API integration. Once you get the payment confirmation, you can store that status to your Dataverse. So these kind of requirement you may have. So it has all the capabilities to call the external APIs. The good part is that Microsoft recently announced that Power Pages is going to provide the Power Automate integration. Okay. Now you can imagine Power Automate has 700 plus connectors, right? So if you have Power Automate capabilities in your Power Pages, you can imagine you can do a lot of things. So right now the Power you can embed all the components of Power Platform in the Power Pages except the Power Automate. Okay, Power BI, chatbot, Power Apps, everything is integrated, but Power Automate is not integrated. But I think in 3 or 4 months, Microsoft, I think in the release wave of 2023 in January, they have announced like they are integrating Power Automate, and that is one of the big change in the Power Pages. By using that, you can bring the data from the 650 data sources in the portal. So if you are doing any payment integration like PayPal or any sort of, you don't need to write the code in the Power Pages. You can call the Power Automate. It actually takes care of everything and you get.
So you talk about that you have customers like Amazon or
Yeah.
IKEA. In terms of lessons,
Yeah.
is it more cost effective than traditional e-commerce websites?
Well, we cannot compare obviously from the website like WordPress, they actually uses. But if you talk about in terms of the capabilities, because I cannot say like it's expensive. Sorry, it's cost cheap as compared to other platform. But in terms of the capabilities it actually provides, right? Because in other website, you may need to write some complex codes or other tools or products to integrate. But as per my personal experiences, I have designed or I have worked around 10 to 12 Power Pages or portal projects in my last 10 years of experience. And I hardly wrote, a single line of code except JavaScript is fine, but I hardly wrote any sort of code to integrate the website. But I know like if I have to use any other platform, I have to obviously use it. But the good part is that it provides the integration with other sources as well, except along with the Microsoft applications. Like if you have to manage the documents, it provides the seamless integration with the SharePoint, right? But not other website that actually provides. So these kind of features it actually provides.
But traditional website, you have a lot of AI capabilities where you know if you're buying this,
It has.
so you can do this there.
Yeah, it has. But the good part is that recently Microsoft acquired the Chat GPT, right? So it brings a lot of capabilities to the Power Pages, and you won't believe like it's not like that Microsoft has to dedicatedly invest on the Power Pages side. If any, so for example, if they are integrating Chat GPT with the Azure, it automatically impacts the other platform components as well. Okay, so like let's suppose I'm integrating a chatbot with the Power Pages. Now chatbot is already integrated with the AI and the chat GPT, right? So it automatically inheriting all those capabilities to the Power Pages as well. But yeah, obviously Microsoft is already doing a lot of things in the AI. So definitely you will get to see in the future a lot of things happening from the AI perspective in the Power Pages side is as well.
On a ESP perspective, do you think this is a good platform to build my own IP since we have that part of the pages are accessible and people can copy my code? Do you think could be a good low code platform to develop my own IP and then install it and sell it to my customers? Or it's too open and I get the risk of getting my IP copied.
I didn't understand IP.
IP in the terms of products. I build.
Okay, you want to create your own website.
Product.
Yeah.
I build and then I replicate and install it on different customers.
Yeah.
But since the part of the pages is open, so everyone that has access can see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think it's too risky to think this platform has a good option instead of traditional web development where I can protect my code better?
Yeah, actually, earlier we had some limited capabilities in terms of the security, but now you have a lot of capabilities in terms of how many users can use that website. The first capabilities I talked about the site visibility. So right now, as long as the development is being done, okay, you can keep it as a private. You cannot access to the public. Okay, that is the one option. Second option, you have the IP address whitelisting option. So for example, like sometimes, so let's say I'm creating a website for the banking domain, okay, and they want like only the employees who is working in the banking in a particular network can access my website. Outside that, no one can access that. So you have the IP listing option. So I recently work in one project that was basically for the banking, and they want like I have 100 employees within my network, and I want to give the access only to the 100 users. So they got the list of IP addresses of all those 100 user, and they whitelisted them. So outside those IP address, if you want to access that, then you get the error message that you are not allowed to access that.
But
third option is Azure conditional access. Sorry to interrupt you. Third option is the Azure conditional access that actually also, if you want to restrict the portal access based on a particular location. So for example, like I'm working in the Lisbon, but I want to restrict the Sweden user to access my website. Okay, so I have the Azure conditional access policies as well. So this.
yeah, that is exactly what I'm looking for. But
Okay.
maybe I will rephrase my question
Sure.
because I just realized that it was not clear. So I am a partner and I have built HR portal,
Okay.
which is mine.
Okay.
It's my IP, my intellectual property.
Yeah.
And that I sell to my customers, and I install my portal on their hosting platforms that are they own. And what I'm amazed about Power Platform is exactly those capabilities that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to transition from custom development to low code approach. Okay,
Yeah.
so it would be great that I could rewrite my product on Power Platform, and so it could be a case of mixed scenario of a model-driven app and a part to portal. It would be my case. But my concern is that since the pages part is open, I know that on the model-driven app, I can
Understand, yeah.
manage solution, so I'm more or less okay.
How you can protect your code exactly
Yeah.
that you want.
But on the page part,
Yeah.
my code will be open, it will
Understand,
be
yeah.
visible. Okay, so if other partner, when I install my product,
Exactly, yeah.
also has access to it,
Yeah.
he might copy my code. He will not copy the managed solution,
Exactly.
but this part would be open. So my question was
Yes, yeah.
more on that direction.
Right.
Even with this, and if I'm able to have a part closed and a part open, and if it would be okay with me, do you
Yeah.
think that this would be a valid platform to invest with this, or do you think that this is more directed to a customer has this need and then we go there and build that need for the customer?
Yeah. So your main objective is to how to protect the code if you are just
Yeah.
creating your own website, because it's a public facing website, right?
Yeah.
So it happens with all the website that when you hit the inspect, or you can view the page source or
Yeah.
the complete HTML of it. So it happens with the Power Pages as well. So there are two things here, as I already given session on that how you can, what is the best practice to write your code. That is the most important thing. So obviously the server side code is not accessible because it's a SaaS based application. So all the business logic which is written in the server side code, so obviously that you cannot expose. But what you can write is your JavaScript and the liquid template. Now there are different options we have to write the code in the Power Pages. Okay, one, you can directly write the code on the pages. Okay, so being a developer, I need to follow some of the best practices that where I have to write my code. Okay, if I just writing a code simply HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that is not confidential.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can simply write it on the web pages. It doesn't matter if someone can access it or not. But let's say I'm calling any payment gateway or any API where I need to bring or communicate with some confidential data. It always recommended to keep it in the web templates, because whatever you write in the web template is basically you write the liquid template code there, and it's a server side code that Microsoft provided to you. Okay, so whenever you write any code in the web template, it doesn't expose to the portal pages. So when you inspect it, when you check anything, you can't see the code of it.
Yeah, but imagine that you are my customer.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm providing you services for the this part of the portal.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's common that we are facing that you can also have another partner.
Yeah.
Providing you services on the Power Platform space also for other subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So we both have access to your Power Platform.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
in that case, this partner can look to my web template, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a risk for me, correct?
Yeah.
Am
So
I understanding correctly?
yeah.
So if you give access to both of us to the admin center, he can copy my code, right?
No. Actually, we have, if you head over to the site visibility, you can see the option grant site access. Okay,
Yeah, but that's
here,
the public part.
yeah,
right?
no, this is not the for public option. This grant site access is for the internal users that Microsoft has provided. The public option is basically handled by the web role and the table permission component I talked about. This grant site access, you can see here, enter the name or the email address. If I search here, it actually search the user from the Active Directory. So Raz is the Active Directory user here. So like you can see here, right? So let's say the two partners are working on the same environment. So you always manage this kind of situation using security groups. Okay, you will create a security groups of one partner where all the partner one user will access that, and the one security group, another security group will have user of partner two. Okay, but here in the give access to the pupil, you can give access to the specific pupil and the security groups as well. So your portal will accessible to a specific security group only. It's not like that anyone in the Active Directory can go to your website and can start accessing your portal code. So that thing can also be handled here. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. It's an interesting question actually. Any other questions you have? But it's a good question. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, but
there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the.
Yeah, that's you have to manage with the contract.
Yeah.
You have to manage on.
Yeah, but I'm okay more or less of having a part which is the core would be on my managed solution, so I'm okay with that. So more or less I'm safe. But at least the where I would have more effort, which is the layouts, that it takes a lot of time, that part is the open. Okay, so it could be a good starting point to another part and to grab that and then build the quick part, which is just in tables and forms at least.
Everybody has access to D365 open access this code fully. Nobody can develop new.
But that is the case for the Dynamics 365 as well, right? Once you deploy it to the production, anyone can go to the script web resource and can make the changes. So you cannot restrict it once you deploy it to the production, because from the client side also, you have to give the access to the specific group of user, the system administration role. So it's their responsibility that they have to take care of it sometimes, not only in the case of Power Pages, in the FinOps or any product in the market. If you deploy it to the production, you finally handed it over to the client. Certain user from the client side, you have to give them this admin access. I work for a client. They have this specific 2-3 users. They need the system admin access, because if user is facing some issues, they cannot each and every time contact me or the developers, right? Some of the small things they can also fix it. So we have to provide them the admin access, and they have to be careful enough.
Yeah, but okay, the client paid me, so it's okay. I'm okay with that. But
Exactly.
the other partner, it's my concern.
As long as you got the IP, you're safe.
But you talked about this partners, because sometimes the different partners or different vendors working on the same environment. So for those restrictions, we have the feature that Microsoft specifically provided the security group. It is the grouping of the user. The group one cannot access the data of group two. And the second option is the environment also. Environment also provide this restriction. Environment is basically the grouping of the resources. So always you cannot use, it is not recommended that the single environment should be used by the multiple vendors. Okay. You can create one environment for your partner one and second environment for your partner two. And you can manage the permission in a way that one environment cannot be accessible by the environment two.
I understand your point, but at the end of the day, the environment is from the customer, so he
Yeah.
will decide wherever he wants.
Yeah.
Okay, even with those recommendations, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, he will do whatever he wants.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to some more feedback. If do you see it as a low code platform for these type of scenarios, or just specific things that the customer has the platform, he has this need, and then we go there and.
Yeah.
It was just more to get this.
I think the more real question would be, what if Microsoft deprecate Power Pages ban?
But well, Microsoft, they are always going to say yes, right? So,
That's, I think, more
yeah,
concerning area.
thank you for your time.